Hello friends, welcome. In this video, I'll be discussing various types of bill of ladings. As you can see from the slide, in video 1, I've already discussed some of the bill of ladings. In this video, I will be discussing more types of bill of ladings, and also I've mentioned the time slot so you can actually reach the exact bill of lading that you may be looking for. And you can also see the list which will be discussed in the video 3. So let's get started. A multimodal transport bill of lading is a bill of lading involving both sea and other transport modes, but with different carriers involved at each stage. Example, another shipping company, a railway company, an air transport company, an inland shipping company, etc. The multimodal transport bill of lading is issued by the sea carrier, and he states on it that he will be responsible for the goods during the entire period of transport. The multimodal transport bill of lading can be issued as a negotiable bill of lading or as a non-negotiable bill of lading. Next bill of lading is through bill of lading. The through bill of lading is virtually identical to multimodal transport bill of lading, but with one major difference. The multimodal transport bill of lading is issued by the multimodal transport operator, the MTO, generally the sea carrier, and he takes responsibility of goods, example shortage, loss, or damage, during the entire period of transport. Thus, not only for the sea passage but also for other transport modes. And the through bill of lading is issued by the sea carrier, but he states on it that he is only responsible for the goods for that part of the carriage during which he takes care of it, and thus only the sea passage. And the next is combined transport bill of lading, and this is a bill of lading that covers transport from door to door by several modes of transport. It is usually used by liner companies who wants to offer full service to their customers by carrying their goods from door to door and mainly in containers. Combined transport is a combination of at least two types of transport in a uniform transport chain that does not involve the changing of transport units. Most of the journey is by rail, inland waterways, or sea, and any initial or final leg carried out with road transport are kept as short as possible. The combined transport operator takes responsibility for the goods throughout the entire journey. The combined transport bill of lading can be issued as a negotiable bill of lading or as a non negotiable bill of lading. In many places, I've read that multimodal transport and combined transport bill of lading are one and the same thing because multimodal basically means more than two modes of transport and carrier is taking responsibility throughout. And similarly, in the combined transport bill of lading, it's a door to door service and there has to be an involvement of at least two modes of transportation. And carrier takes full responsibility from door to door. And both these documents can be negotiable or non negotiable bill of ladings. And to remember the through bill of lading, you can just imagine that the carrier is saying, whatever passes through me, I take responsibility only for that mode of transportation. Remaining all will come under different parties. This is the basic difference between through bill of lading and the multimodal transport bill of lading, also called combined transport bill of lading. Another type of bill of lading is called direct bill of lading or port to port bill of lading. A direct bill of lading is issued for the carriage of goods from one port to another port, and issuance of direct bill of lading indicates that the same vessel that has picked up the cargo will deliver it to the final destination. It also indicates that the goods will not be transshipped, although a clause is sometimes inserted allowing the carrier to transship the goods. When such a transshipment exists, the goods will lie in the transshipment port at the merchant's risk. The next two types of bill of ladings, which are quite similar to each other, are received for shipment bill of lading and shipped bill of lading. Let's understand them now. The received for shipment bill of lading is a bill of lading which merely acknowledges receipt of goods by the ship owner or their agent for shipment. Such a bill of lading will contain a clause reading received in apparent good order and condition for shipment by motor vessel, whatever the name of the ship, or the next following vessel's name. It is compulsory to mention the name of the actual vessel in case of change of vessel after issuance of received for shipment bill of lading. This bill of lading can be converted into on-board bill of lading after completion of loading by putting the notation on board. Such notation will be dated and authenticated by the shipping company. In such cases, the date of notation shall be deemed as a date of shipment. And the shipped bill of lading is a bill of lading which certifies that the specified goods have been received in apparent good order and condition from the named shipper and have been taken on board the named ship on the stated date. Banks funding a shipment requires this type of bill of lading and not a received for shipment bill of lading. Shipped bill of lading is also called the onboard bill of lading. Thus, it is clear now that once the goods are handed over by the shipper, he receives a received for shipment bill of lading. And once it is on board a ship, they just stamp it on the same bill of lading, a notation which says on board, and thus it becomes the onboard bill of lading, also called the shipped bill of lading. Next is stale bill of lading. So a bill of lading may be called stale when a credit system like documentary credit is being used. So every credit which calls for a transport documents also stipulates a specified period of time after the date of shipment during which presentation must be made in compliance with the terms and condition of the credit. If no such period of time is stipulated, banks will not accept the document presented to them later than 21 days after the date of shipment. In any event, documents must be presented not later than the expiry date of the credit. And if these documents are not presented within this time, the bill of lading is considered stale. Next is charter party bill of lading. Charter party is a contract between the ship owner and the hirer who may hire the vessel on a voyage basis or duration basis. The document containing the terms and conditions of this contract are known as the charter party. The shipper who has chartered the vessel may agree to carry the goods of others in the ship and issue a BL for the purpose. Such bill of lading is called the charter party bill of lading. The kind of bill of lading is subject to terms and conditions agreed upon by the hirer of the ship, ship space, and the ship owner. Generally, banks do not accept charter party bill of lading as the ship owner may exercise lien over the cargo in case charterers do not pay the higher charges. Next is switch bill of lading, often called the trader's second set and intended to replace the first set of bill of lading issued. Usually issued where a seller or trader wishes to keep the name of his supplier, that is the original shipper, a secret from the ultimate buyer of the goods. Under this type of bill of lading, only the name of the shipper, consignee, or the notified party can be changed. The normal bill of lading has to be surrendered, but the BL number remains the same. To simply understand this, let's say I'm buying certain goods from A and selling it to B. But I don't want B to know about A because then I will not make my profit as B may directly deal with A. Thus, I'm using switch bill of lading where A will ship the consignment to me and then I will just switch the name of the consignee and thus the name is given switch bill of lading. I hope this was a useful video for you. If you have any feedback, suggestion or comment, then please do write down below. All the best for your exams and as always, thank you for watching.